Guys, today we are reviewing the Strymon Flint tremolo and reverb. Truly an incredible pedal and something that you may want to think about buying, but let's dive in. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I make videos all the time. You don't want to miss all the incredible guitar content I've got releasing on my channel. And be sure to hit me up at Instagram for more cool things regarding the world of guitar. Without further ado, let's dive into this review. Alright, so I'm going to go through some of the features of the pedal and kind of give you guys an idea of what to expect when you buy a Flint. Now first off, we have two sides. We have a tremolo side and we have a reverb side. Now the topography of the Flint is a little bit misleading. Typically in older amplifiers, you will have the reverb first and then the tremolo, but as you can see, the Flint has a tremolo, then reverb option. You can change the chaining of the effect order in settings here by holding down these two buttons and then going through the decay options. We'll talk about that more later on down the road. But let's start with the tremolo side of the pedal. So on the tremolo side, we have the intensity knob. The intensity controls the depth of the tremolo effect. We can go into how that's accomplished, but essentially if it's off, no tremolo is heard, but the tremolo will still travel through the circuit, and then pretty heavy tremolo when you start cranking it to the right here. Now for the tremolo variations, we have three different kinds of tremolos, tremolo types, and that's accomplished by switching the switch in this top right corner of the tremolo quadrant. Our first one is going to be the 1961 harmonic band filtering tremolo. In the middle we have a 1963 power tube bias tremolo, and in the bottom switch we have a 1965 photo cell tremolo. All different tremolos, we'll get to hear them in a second here, but that's the idea. And then the speed is going to vary the tremolo frequency from slow to fast. The slow range is extended to give lower trem speeds than were generally available in the vintage offerings. So if you go really slow, you're going to be able to get an even slower tremolo sound than older amps, because the older amps just couldn't handle it. And from the analog perspective, because we have Shark DSP in this, we're able to do things we could never do before on a tremolo reverb combo. When the light is turned on, the tremolo is engaged, so be aware of that. So from this half over, we have the actual reverb side of the pedal. We'll start off by saying that you have three different reverb types. We have at the top switch here a 60s reverb spring tank, and then in the middle switch position we have a 70s electronic plate that's going to be more solid state, and then on the last switch we have a 1980s studio rack hall, who's all going to change the way that reverb sounds. And then the mix is going to control the reverb wet mix from full dry at minimum, so there's no reverb happening now, and then with full wet happening at maximum. So when you're at full wet, that means you don't hear any of your guitar's original signal. All you hear is the reverb signal. And then you can get a 50-50 mix by hitting your knob at about 3 o'clock there. And this will be important as we go on, but we've got the decay right here. Decay is going to vary the reverb time from short to long. And then the 70s and 80s verbs, that second and third switching option, will approach infinite decay at maximum. So that means it'll never stop giving you that decay sound, which you don't always want, but it's a nice feature to have for those later on reverbs. So this color switch right here is going to vary the reverb tone from darker at low settings to brighter at high settings. And that's going to be critical for finding that sweet spot for a variety of amps, because every amp is going to make your reverb sound a little bit different, and that color is there to give you a little bit more control. And then of course you have a reverb bypass switch right here. Once again, when the LED is on, the reverb is engaged, and when it's turned off, the reverb is disengaged. What's cool about the Strymon smaller sized pedals is that you can always get secondary options by holding down the two bypass switches together, and then you can essentially change the knobs for different effects. Okay, so if I'm holding down the two bypass switches together, this intensity knob becomes a tremolo boost / cut. So it'll control a ±3 dB boost when the tremolo is engaged. You can go to 12 o'clock for unity gain. So we got +3 and then -3. And that's all while holding these two switches down. When you guys turn off your pedal and turn it back on again, it'll retain the settings from the last turn off. So if you change it now, it'll never get changed again until you go back in, hold it down, and then move the settings again. Now what's cool about this pedal is that it does have a reverb effect order. You can set whether the signal travels through reverb then tremolo or tremolo then reverb, and the default is reverb through tremolo. as this is how many vintage amplifier circuits worked. But if you want to change that settings, once again, hold down these two switches, and then you can change the decay knob, and that'll change that order of the settings. So essentially, if you're going to the left, it'll be verb, then trem, and then trem, then verb on the right side. Alright, our next secondary option is for tap division. So if you have a external tap foot switch, you can actually select the tap division by changing the speed on the tremolo, and that's just for the tremolo. Once again, hold down those two buttons and change it. And then on this side of the actual pedal, you have a reverb boost and cut, and you can actually control a plus minus 3 dB boost or cut when reverb is engaged, and set to 12 o'clock, obviously, for unity gain, and so plus 3, minus 3. Alright guys, now we're going to go through some cool sounds you can make with this Flint tremolo reverb combo pedal. We're going to start off with the tremolo side. We're going to start off with that 61 harmonic band filtering tremolo. You can see where my speed and intensity are at. Honestly, very warm sounding and wobbly. Let's try our 1963 power tube bias style. So I love the sound of this 1963 power tube style tremolo. Definitely a lot more bass responsive than our last. Let's try our 1965 photocell. Definitely way different sounding than any of the other tremolos. And that's going to be our tremolo side. Let's go back to our reverb side. Now I like reverbs a lot, but can these measure up to the vintage reverbs we know and love? We're going to start off with a 1960s. Here's that dry signal. We'll increase our delay to about 50-50, so you're going to hear about 50% delay signal, 50% dry signal, and we'll increase our delay pretty substantially here. Now that is pretty much a 1960s spring tank. You can kind of hear that slappy sound of the spring tank. We're going to go on now to our 1970s electronic plate. This will be the solid state version. Definitely way different sounding than our spring tank. Love that sound. Let's change the color of the reverb a little bit here. Might be hard to hear that reverb trail. Definitely very trebly. Let's increase the amount of reverb to normal signal to give you guys an idea of how this color will work. We got a lot darker very quickly here. So that color does affect in a pretty big way the sound of your reverb trail. A lot of you guys might not want a darker colored reverb, but if your amp is really tinny, kind of like a Vox AC30 style, very chimey, you may want to think about a darker reverb so that you don't actually pierce your audience's ears with the sound of that reverb. Now we're going to try our 1980s Studio Rack Hall reverb, one of my personal favorites. I love the sound of that reverb, especially for more ambient style rock. And then we can actually make that infinite delay. Let's try the infinite delay sound. That sucker will go on for forever. Alright, we're going to be trying out some sample settings on the actual Strymon Flint to give you guys an idea of how these two different effects work together. We're going to be defaulting it to its standard format, which will be a reverb into a tremolo, because that is how vintage amps are going to work. The first setting we have here is the Tweed Surf setting on the Strymon Flint. Let's give it a shot and see if Strymon knows what a Tweed Surf sound would sound like. Not bad, I kind of liked it. Alright, now we're going to be going to a preset called Electro Solid Plate. Give me one sec here. We're going to be in our 70s plate. And this is the Electro Solid Plate by Strymon. Guys, thanks for watching my review video on the Strymon Flint. I hope I've convinced some of you guys to pick one up at a music store near you. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. I make videos all the time. You don't want to miss all the great content I have to offer. And don't forget to hit me up at Instagram at IkeGuitar. If you have any further questions about this incredible pedal, be sure to ask me those questions there. Now, if you guys have a pedal you guys like, make sure you put it in the comments below. I might pick one of your pedals out and try it out and give you guys a great review on that pedal. So be sure to comment below. Have a great day, guys. Hope you enjoyed this review. And go get you a Strymon Flint. It's pretty cool, and you won't be disappointed by it.